guys, it's David with Cars and Code. Today I want to talk a little bit about the friction circle, what the friction circle is and how we can use it in our driving. So first, what exactly is the friction circle? Well, I've actually got one on the screen for you guys right here, right now. It just looks like a circle with a little dot that moves around. So as the dot moves around, that just shows the acceleration of the car. So if I hit the brakes right here, you can see the dot move forward. If I hit the gas, we can see the dot move backwards. And if I turn side to side here, you can see the dot moves side to side. So an easy way to think about it is the forces that your body experiences while you're driving the car. So if I hit the brakes real hard, what does your body do? It moves forward. So if I hit the brakes real hard, we can see the dot moves forward. Similarly, if we hit the gas, your body moves backwards in the car, and so does that dot. And if we turn to the right, the dot moves left, and if we turn left, the dot moves to the right. So that's all a friction circle is just a representation of the acceleration of the car. Now, there's two big reasons why I really like the friction circle and why it's so cool. The first is that it's so easy to get the data, right? So I'm actually collecting this data right now on my phone that I just have in the car. It's just a horizontal and vertical acceleration that the accelerometer can measure. Super easy stuff that really anyone can do. The second reason it's so cool is that it's such a powerful tool. It can tell you so much information about your driving. It can tell you how to take turns better. It can tell you how your tires are doing. It can tell you like a whole bunch of information. And it's one of the most commonly used tools that racing drivers use. If you go and watch a YouTube video of like the Nürburgring, you can actually see the friction circle that they put it on the video for viewers to see, just because it's so informative about how the car is doing. So for those two reasons, the friction circle is cool, and that's why I'm making this video about it. So now that we know what the friction circle is and how it works, let's talk a little bit about how we can use it in our driving, both on the track and on the road. So let's start off with my favorite way to use the friction circle, and it's the easiest way in my opinion on how to use it. And this is definitely more for basic or starting drivers and racers. So you have this dot, this current acceleration on the friction circle. Now when you're going around a track, you never want your acceleration to be zero, meaning you never want to be just cruising along at the same speed. So if you're coming up on a turn, you want to be hitting the brakes. If you're on a straightaway, you want to be on the gas. And if you're on a turn, you want to be turning as hard as you can. So you should always be accelerating. And that means that dot at the friction circle should never be in the center, right? So right now I'm cruising along at the same speed, it's at the center. You never want that to happen in a race. Now, if you take that a little bit further, you can actually see how far that dot is from the center, right? So every tire or tires have a certain amount of grip they have with the road, right? So if I'm going along and accelerating, there's a point at which my tires will start to spin. Let's say if I accelerate at 1G, my tires don't spin. But if I accelerate just a touch over 1G, my tires will start to spin. Now I know this is overlooking a lot of information like your current speed and aerodynamics and all that kind of stuff. But we're just going to keep it with that straight mechanical grip on the ground, which is what you'll mostly be using. So let's say at 1G, your wheels start to spin. Then that means when you're coming out of a corner, you want to be as close to 1G as possible. All right, so if you're accelerating at 0.7 Gs coming out of a corner, you look at the friction circle and you're like, hey, I'm only accelerating at 0.7 Gs out of this corner. Then you can go back and accelerate harder and know that you can do it without spinning the tires. Similarly, in a corner, you can see how many Gs you can corner at. that number as possible. Once you've done that, you can get into a little bit more advanced topics with the friction circle. And one of my favorites is braking and turning, or accelerating and turning at the same time. So let's say you're coming up at a corner and you first brake, and when you're done braking, you turn. And after you're done turning, you accelerate. So it's a 3-step process, and you're doing each one independently of each other. So you brake, and then you turn, and then you accelerate. And let's say that your car weighs 3,000 pounds. And we're gonna figure out the amount of force that your tires can handle on the ground. So let's say your car weighs 3,000 pounds, and the coefficient of friction between the tires on the ground is about 1. That means, using the formula for friction, we can find out that the car has about 3,000 pounds of force that it can use. That 3,000 pounds of force to brake, to accelerate, or to turn. Now, you might think, hey, if I want to brake and turn at the same time, then I can do that just using the 3,000 pounds. I can brake at 1,500 pounds, and I can accelerate at 1,500 pounds. But that's actually not the case. Because if you brake and accelerate at 1,500 pounds each, you don't just add them together. You use the Pythagorean theorem, because it's a 90-degree angle vectors. So in reality, you're only using about 2,100 pounds of force that you could have been using. You could have been using the 3,000. So in reality, you could be braking at about 2,100 pounds and turning at about 2,100 pounds, I believe. So you can turn and brake a lot faster than you can just brake and then turn. So obviously that is overlooking a lot of the other stuff, like aerodynamics and all that kind of stuff. But for most everyday drivers, you're not going to have a hugely downforce heavy car or going speeds over like 70 miles an hour or anything like that. So really, you just want to look at that friction. And I'm also overlooking other stuff, like a real friction circle is more of a friction oval, and other similar things like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on the friction circle and why I think it's so cool. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe. Leave a comment below, and I'll try to reply to all of the comments. But other than that, I hope all of you guys have a great day, and I will see you later.